I want to bring in Kris Ruby, who's actually been a guest on the show in the past, who has really taken advantage from the very beginning and created one of the most popular political sites, Clubhouses on the site. Kris, thank you so much for joining us. You were on probably from an early size. Talk to me about this platform and what about it appealed to you, and who do you find usually engaged in your conversations?
Sure. So early on, I applied for the Republican and conservative Clubhouse handle on Clubhouse to create political discourse and discussions with civility from both sides. I was surprised and happily surprised to see that the club was accepted. And who is attracted to that club? Well, we have hosted different politicians, pundits, different media commentators, and again, people from both sides of the aisle, and had really fascinating discussions with, and I know, Scottie, you've been in some of them as well, with everything ranging from Syria to CPAC with President Trump's speech, to social media and tech censorship, and even to tech lawyers debating Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So who is attracted to this platform? I would say anyone and everyone who cares about having these conversations. And I think what's interesting is that it's really disrupting the traditional media landscape. We saw that yesterday with CPAC, with live analysis after Donald Trump's speech. People went over to our club, into the room. I saw you in there as well, where why turn on cable news when you can go to Clubhouse and hear what pundits are saying in real time with live stream analysis?
Well, and that's the thing, and that's kind of why I've actually been attracted to the platform so far, is because it's not only your room, Kris, but others. I immediately get to hear a wide diversity, and it's not just the pundits. I'm hearing how this resonates in the grassroots, which brings me back to your last word that you said, Ben, that you said, is this going to be a haven for free speech? You feel like it's not, correct? And why do you kind of get that impression?
Well, I get it from a couple things. Listen, it's great that so far it is turning into a place where people can bypass pundits. That's always important. But is it going to remain a place for that to happen? Who knows? Look, number one, Silicon Valley money is behind it. That's a bad sign. Number two, there are already users in the Chinese mainland who say the conversations are being censored in terms of what they're allowed to talk about. So at the end of the day, it would be great if these sites were set up in a way that said, hey, we want to be open to as many points of view as possible. But that is not the thinking of most people in Silicon Valley right now, and certainly not in companies that are attempting to eventually, we would guess, IPO or are raising funds, which these guys are doing, actively raising funds. And so when that happens, you already get this sense that there's going to be, hey, we've got to control some of the language that's used. Look, Twitter just did something today, as you guys might have seen, and came out and said it was removing users who essentially put out a point of view that might seem negative to NATO, which is mind-boggling that we're even there. Now, Clubhouse is not doing that, but what gives me any kind of confidence that they won't? Nothing, because it's the same people, the same mindset of people who are running this app that run Facebook and run Twitter and run Google. In fact, they're ex-Google guys.
Right. And Kristen, you've been a long face in the conservative movement. You've probably had things on other platforms be censored or had to lose followers. We've seen that's happened on Twitter. So how do you respond to some of those concerns that this is kind of still being backed by Silicon Valley?
So I agree with what Ben said. And I think, so if people want to win here, they need to play by the rules of Clubhouse's platform in terms of service. I think the challenge that we have, especially on the right, is they view that as only using PC language, and they want to rage against the machine rather than understanding what the machine is, understanding the rules of the platform, the rules of engagement, and you're either going to follow those rules and understand this sort of warped environment that we're playing in, or not. I'm choosing to stick within those guidelines and with those boundaries because I'm putting the community and the collective community first. Without doing that, these conversations will be canceled, people will be canceled, and the club will be canceled literally overnight. So if you are conservative on these platforms, you really don't have many options. You can either play by the rules of big tech giants, or you'll be canceled. I'm well aware of that, and I'm choosing not to go against it at this point so that I can create the space for people to talk.
Well, and I appreciate that. And Ben, go for it.
I was going to say, not to say anything negative about Kris. I think Kris is doing it the right way. The sad thing for a lot of conservatives is the rules that are in place today may not be the rules tomorrow. I mean, it's an ever-changing set of rules. I think that's what's created so much frustration. And by the way, Facebook is trying to now launch a competitor to Clubhouse. It's interesting that they're trying to get in on this. So it shows you the popularity of it. But,
You know,
who's going to go to the Facebook version?
Well, and that's it, especially in the original. You know, this reminds me of the beginning of talk radio. People listen to talk radio because they could call in, they could engage, but it's like talk radio immediately at this point. And I agree with you. I think what's making it so popular right now is people are able to get immediate interaction with those they want to interact with. I agree. It's going to be, as it continues to grow, there's power in that. It's just, are they going to try to control that power if it actually begins, as we've seen they do on other social medias when they get popular? Kris, congratulations on the Clubhouse. And like I said, this isn't just about politics. There's lots of other discussions and topics on Clubhouse. Thank you so much, Ben, for your research, because I don't think many people realize what the basis of this platform is. Thank you guys for joining me. You're always welcome into my Clubhouse.